starting our event now. And Lavanya AD, and I'm the representative for menstrual hygiene and management for our Rotaract Club. And I'm so glad that so many people have joined. We have 40 people over here. I'm so glad that all of you could take out some time and come for our event, which is going to be hosted by a really amazing person, Dr. Asta Singh. And now I would like to hand over the session to Chandana Swami, who's going to be introducing us Dr. Asta Singh. So over to you, Chandana.
Thank you, Lavanya. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. I am Rotaract Chandana N. Swami, present Club Service Director and Sergeant at Arms Elect for RCBMSY. The Rotaract Club of BMS Yelahanka welcomes each one of you to today's webinar on sustainable menstruation and menstrual hygiene. Our speaker for today is Dr. Asta Singh. Ma'am, we're delighted and privileged to have you with us today. A brief introduction about our speaker for today's webinar. Dr. Asta Singh is a dentist by profession. She has actively worked in the field of sustainable menstruation and menstrual health management, educating over 3,000 plus women and girls to switch towards sustainable menstruation. She runs an NGO named as Janani Jeevan Aadhar, which works for the same cause. She is also the upcoming MHM Committee Chairperson for Rotaract District 3190 and Rotaract District MHM Trainer for the Rota Year 2021. We welcome you, ma'am. I request all the attendees to kindly mute your audio and video options. Thank you, Rotaractor Lavanya, for giving me this opportunity. Over to you, ma'am.
Ma'am, you're not unmuted. Can you please unmute yourself and then speak?
Sorry for the issue. Thank you, Lanka, for giving me this opportunity today to enlighten you about menstruation and menstrual health. So thank you for calling me up today. So we'll be starting now. So in our today's session, we are going to discuss about few points which I'll be keeping forward in the beginning. And then I'll be elaborate on each and every point. And in the chat box, you all can please put up your queries, which we'll be answering in the last 15 minutes. So in the session, I'll just give you an overview. We'll be starting with an overview of a female reproductive system. What is it and how is it? What is period? What is the most common sanitary product do you use? What alternatives can you use? What is period pain? What is white discharge? What is menstrual health management? And then we'll be ending up with your queries. So starting with, I'll share my own life experience. So when I attained my first period, I was never educated about it, that what it is and how it is and how does it work and why does it happen to a woman. So when I got it for the first time, I landed up with my mom. I told her that this had happened, some blood is coming out of my body. And what should I do? And she taught me how to use a sanitary napkin, and I was sent to school like any normal day, where I was made fun and period shamed by my batchmate, means the boy, the opposite sex obviously, and the girls were giggling about it, and it was a little fun, but yeah, it was a little uncomfortable too. So what I wanted to explain you all, that periods is one of the most unspoken topic amongst all of us, and which is not discussed or which has been considered as a taboo. So today we have around 40 people here. So at least let's all 40 of us try to break this taboo and make people associated with us to be comfortable to talk about periods and to educate others like our mother, friend, sister, girlfriend, wife, comfortable about it and share their period problem and help them out. So starting with the first period. Okay, who's handling the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll be talking. You can just keep moving the screen. Okay, that would be really helpful for me.
Yeah, I'll be moving.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so as you can see in the video, I would request all of you to please see my video. That I'm showing you a dummy uterus, which is the same mentioned in the slide. So basically, a female reproductive system has two ovaries, two fallopian tubes, one uterus connected to the cervix and ending into the vagina and the vaginal opening. So the ovary, it produces the egg. The fallopian tube, it carries the egg. The uterus is the place where there is a thin layer of endometrium which sheds every month, and we get our periods. That is the endometrial lining. The cervix is a small canal through which either the blood comes out during periods or the sperms go inside post-intercourse. And the vagina is the opening through which the blood oozes out of our body. So the next thing is, next slide please. Okay, so we all attain our periods at the age of 10 to 15 usually, which is a common age for everyone to attain their period, and that is called as menarche. And it continues till the age of 45 to 50 years and pauses at the age of 45 to 50 years approximately, and that is called as menopause. So approximately every woman gets a period for 35 long years in her life. That is 35 years a woman is fertile. For means she can reproduce or good for the sexual health, and she attains her periods all these 35 years every month once in a cycle of 28 days. So a normal cycle is of 21 to 35 days. There's a little fluctuation seen in few women. That is because of the stress they take or because of the lifestyle, the food habits, and even the work that they do. So a fluctuation is seen in between 21 to 35 days, and that is completely normal. But a normal cycle is of 28 days. And this comes every month continuously for every woman, which continues for 3 to 5 days. Sometimes it may exceed to 7 days, and sometimes it may reduce to 1.5 days also. Again, that is a completely normal fact. It depends on how much you are bleeding, not on the how many days you are bleeding. So few women bleed only for 1.5 to 2 days, and they soil around 12 to 15 pads. That is also completely normal. But whereas few women bleed for 5 to 7 days also and shed very little blood every single day, which is also completely normal. So basically, your periods start at the age of 10 to 15, ends at the age of 45 to 50 years. We get around 35 years of time where we get our periods. And in total, if you calculate in these 35 years, we get 420 periods. Next slide, please. So next one. Mostly we all have this doubt that how much do we bleed during our period? Do we bleed too much or do we bleed too less? Many of us have no idea that how much is the amount of bleeding, because many times we soil multiple packs, more than 15 and 20, and sometimes it is less than even 5 or 6. So what is this? Why does it happen, and how does it happen? So the normal bleeding is 10 to 30 milliliters. It may exceed to 80 milliliters. That is just 1 to 6 tablespoons. So usually when we see while we are bleeding that we are like a Niagara Falls and it's like too much of lump is coming out and it's not fine. But it isn't so. The maximum a woman bleeds is 10 to 80 milliliters. That is 1 to 6 tablespoons of blood, and you can actually measure it taking a spoon and glass and put water from the spoon into the glass, and that's the only amount of blood you bleed. Many times this also we come across that my blood is coming little brownish, little grayish, more red in color, maroon in color, pinkish in color. So what happens when your blood is coming very brown or rusted brown? Probably in some cases the last period blood is still remnant in the uterus. That is what's coming out in the next period. Sometimes it even happens that there's a wound inside there and you're unaware of it while inserting your menstrual cup, if you're a menstrual cup user, or by your finger, you have scratched it through your nails. So in that case, there is a small clump happen, which comes in the next period. But the natural color of the menstrual blood should be maroon red or deep red. That is the normal color. If you see a fluctuation into that color for a continuous time period like 1, 2, 3 months, then you should surely meet a gynecologist who can help you with a treatment. Like probably there might be some bacterial infection inside, or there might be some wound which you are unaware of. Then one more thing is what comes during your menstrual with your menstrual blood. Is it only blood, or there's something else also? So when we bleed, along with the, as I showed you all, that there is this uterus, as you can see in the picture, there's a red color part. So that is the uterus, which has the endometrial lining, which sheds in during the period. So along with that, please don't move the slide. Yes, let it be there. Okay. So with the endometrial lining, even the mucus and the serous fluid comes out, which is there from the mucus and the serous glands present in the vagina and the cervix. And with that, little bit of blood and blood clumps comes out through the blood vessels, which is totally normal. So if you get a small clots in your period, during your period, please do not panic. And it is just a normal blood clot inside your uterus lining. It's a uterine tissue. So it's nothing to worry about. Now we move on to the, this was the basic about what is a female reproductive system and what are the different parts of the reproductive system. Now we move on to what do we use during our period. So the most commonly thing used during your period is a sanitary napkin. Okay, so we all use sanitary napkin. Our mothers and our grandmothers too would have used it, and it's a very common product found in every medical store and every mart. And we all must be aware of it, including the boys. So the first thing is, what is a sanitary napkin? Looks very convenient. It is white in color. It has a thin layer. It is very thin in size, and it absorbs your blood for 4 to 6 hours. It has wings also to hold on to your undergarments. But these things which you are seeing and which you predict that it is good, but if you actually see, just see the video I'm showing you. This is a sanitary napkin I have burnt in one of my episodes and shown. When you burn a sanitary napkin, it actually burns like a plastic, if you can see. And it smells also exactly like a plastic. So basically, what is your sanitary napkin made up of? It is made up of, the lowermost layer is made up of plastic, a thin layer of plastic they give you. Then the wings are made up of plastic. The middle layer, the blue layer, is an adsorbent which has microbeads, which contains chloroethane, chloromethane, acetone, which is there in the nail paint, plastic that is called styrene, which is present in the car tires, and dioxin, which helps in absorption of the blood. So basically, it is it does look good, it does look thin, and most importantly, they say and they show in a TV. See, I can show you here also. I have a sanitary pad in my hand, which has small cotton fragments, okay? And by what they show that it is white and it's very nice and clean, but in actual, pure cotton is not white in color. Pure cotton is yellowish to gray in color. And what they show in the sanitary napkin or they give you is whitish in color. It means they have bleached it from chlorine. So basically, your sanitary napkin is made up of plastic, dioxin, styrene, and multiple more chemicals which are not healthy for your period or for your health. More of, can you please change the slide? Next one. Next one. Yes, thank you. So as you all can see, in the slide it's clearly mentioned, one side the advantages, whereas the reality is mentioned clearly. That, as I said, it has plastic and chemicals. It causes infection and rashes. So I haven't met in my life even a single girl who hasn't got rashes. Even I was a sanitary napkin user, and I have experienced UTI, reproductive tract infection, and even fungal infection, rashes, and odor. Bad odor is a very common thing every girl experiences. But it's not that your blood smells foul. The blood smells completely normal, and it smells of iron. That is the element present in the blood. Whereas when the blood comes in contact with the sanitary napkin, which has multiple fragrances added, as we have surveyed, there are around 32 fragrances which they add in the sanitary napkin. So when they mix together, then the foul smell comes. Moreover, it is non-biodegradable. It is a single-use element. You use it and you throw it. And 99% of the places in our country don't have an incinerator to incinerate. So again, pads doesn't come into a wet waste or dry waste. It doesn't even come into biomedical waste. It's in the 5% of waste which cannot be categorized into any of the elements. So to decompose it completely or degrade it completely, you have to put it into incinerator. And the incinerator which are present in our country works only at 300 to 400 degrees Celsius. Whereas to burn a sanitary napkin, we require a temperature of 800 to 1200 degrees Celsius. And when you burn these sanitary napkins at 300 degrees Celsius, they release dioxin, which is a chemical very harmful for the upper respiratory tract and causes upper respiratory tract infection. So again, it can't be completely burned or it cannot be degraded. It is made up of plastic, so it lands up into the landfill for 500 to 800 years because plastic do not degrade for 500 to 800 years, and it cannot be reused, it cannot be recycled. And when we go and throw it into the water body, like many people, girls just dump their sanitary napkin into the drainage or into the sewage. So I'll share a small incident that happened recently. I went for a donation camp for a sanitary napkin itself because those people didn't have the access to water and sanitation. So I had to give them sanitary napkins. So and I asked them, how do you dispose it? So what she told me that I just wrap it into a newspaper and throw it into the gutter. And I'm like, what happens after that? And she's like, I don't know, it must be going into the water body. So when we do that, it lands up into the water bodies like ponds, lakes, and then sea. And then the sea animals feeds on it, the fishes feeds on it, and then we go and buy those fishes and bring home and we feed on those fishes. So ultimately it's coming back to us. The next, can you please change the slide? Just keep changing the slide till I don't stop you. The next one please, next. Okay, so I've covered all this. Next one. Next. Next one. Next one. Next. Okay, so this one. So here you can see the Purakarmika or the municipality worker handling the sanitary waste from bare hands. So when they handle it from bare hands, they get fungal and bacterial infections. More than that, they don't have the access to mouth mask or gloves. So even they get upper respiratory tract infection. Next one. When you go and throw it into the water bodies, they don't have the manual scavengers, as you can see in the picture. And last year, you all would have seen the article, the video actually, which came out through Tata Company, where a manual scavenger, a child was explaining about his father's work. So these manual scavengers get inside the water sewage and drainage to clean the clogs. And the sanitary pads we throw into the water body, which looks this thin, bloats up to 30 times of its size and clogs the drain. More than that, the street animals, dogs and cats snatches them and eats them off because of the smell of the blood and get diseases like eczema, skin disorders, and even GIT disorders. So it's completely, by seeing a sanitary napkin looks very good and clean and tidy, but if you see the real face of it, it's completely unhealthy. So next we will come to, can you please switch to the slide? So what is the alternative to it? So by now I was just telling that what wrong does it do. So what should we do that we have a remedy for it? So we have something called as, which our grandmothers and mothers used to use, and that is called as a cloth pad. You can, please change the slide. Next one, next one, next, next one, next one, next one, next one. Yeah, you can stop it. Thank you. So now we have, you can see the video. I'm showing you a cloth pad. Okay, so this is the first and the most easy and most comfortable way to switch to work from sanitary napkin towards sustainable menstruation. Now you would ask me that we switched from cloth to sanitary napkin. Why are you asking me to use again cloth pad? So olden times, women, there was a lot of period taboo. Women were not given enough privilege. They didn't have places to wash and dry their sanitary napkin with their cloth pad. So they used to dry it in the washroom or in the astable, hidden somewhere in the dark place. But now with time we have grown and we have access to good places, and the period taboo is also breaking. So we can switch to, if we want to, we have a will, we can switch to sustainable ways. That is the first is the cloth pad. So now I'll show you a cloth pad. So this is the most commonly used cloth pad. As you can see in the picture, they have two wings like your sanitary napkin. It's and they have small buttons which you can fasten to your undergarments at the back. And they come with a liner. So this is the jacket part, and they come with a liner which is completely made of malmal, and it looks like a handkerchief. So there's no shininess that you can't wash it and dry it. And what is it made up of? Now I'll show you. So I have this open one with me. I have kept. So what is it made of? So the outermost layer is made up of cotton. The inner layer also, they put 2 layers of cotton into it. Just 2 thin layers of cotton. If you can even check it out. Okay, sorry for the small glitch. Okay, so the inner layer is also made up of cotton, and then it has a thin layer that is called a flannel. And this is the flannel layer, which is the cloth which you use for making umbrellas. So while using, you can just use these small jackets with the liners. You slowly insert it inside, and they do not move from your undergarments as you have buttons for fastening it at the back. And there are multiple more designs for the same, like this one, which looks exactly like a handkerchief, and you can dry it in sun completely. They do not leak. They are green. They can be composted. Again, another design. So they come into multiple designs, multiple shapes and sizes. So now there will be a big question that how do we use it, and isn't it, won't it leak through my clothes? No. So first thing, it doesn't leak through your clothes because I showed you there is a small layer of flannel which does not allow the blood to leak through. Second thing, as it is cotton, it does not cause any kind of itchiness, infection or rashes. So it's completely healthy for you to use. And third thing, it can be used for 2 to 3 long years. All you need to do is, after using your cloth pad, keep it into cold water for 30 minutes. Do not keep in hot water because blood coagulates in hot water. Keep it into cold water for 30 minutes. Let it soak in water and bloat up. Once the blood bloats up, squeeze off the entire blood and then wash it from soft soap, or please do not use soap. We recommend not to use soap. But you can use mild soap like a body soap, and then wash it completely. Make the soap water come out and dry it in complete sun. Once you dry it in complete sun, you can again use it the next morning, and you can have 2 to 3 pairs of these cloth pads and keep reusing them. Moreover, you can use for 2 to 3 years, and after 2 to 3 years, you can just compost it, and it will turn into manure into just 90 days. It even happens that after continuous use, the inner cloth, that is the liner, it may fray off in 2 years. So that time you can just take any cotton cloth from the market like this, colorful or white in color, and just stitch the borders and make your own liners and reuse it with the jacket. This is the first, and moreover, one cloth pad set comes only for 320, 350 rupees, whereas one sanitary napkin comes for 120 rupees, the cheapest one which we use for going to school and colleges. So if you see the economics also, in 10 years you spend around 12,000 to 45,000 rupees on your sanitary napkin, whereas in 10 years you will spend only 5,000 to 8,000 rupees on your cloth pad. So why don't we switch to an economic and a sustainable way of menstruation rather than using something so unhealthy? Then we come to another way of, can you please change the slide? Yeah, so I'll be sharing the slide with all of you. You can later on go through it and see. Please, the next one. Next one. Yeah, one more thing I wanted to tell, that you people must be having a doubt that how do we carry it and how do we take it outside. So one thing can be done, that you can use one liner or one cloth pad and go to work, and then you will be provided boxes, small bags like this of jute or cotton. You can carry the other liner or the other pad with you, folding into it, and once the one you're using is spoiled, just take it, keep it into the pouch, bring it home. Do not throw it because it is a reusable product, and use the clean one and bring this one back home, clean it, wash it, dry it in sun and reuse it. The second option, which is a very good and very healthy option, healthier than the cloth pad, is a menstrual cup. Now I'm showing you a menstrual cup. This is a menstrual cup. It has 4 parts. The topmost part is the sealer, from where the suction is created. The second is small pores. These are the small pores for releasing the suction. The third is the bottom part, which has a small striation for holding, and it is for the grip. There are a few menstrual cups which also have a knob for finding out that where the cup is, like as you can see in this one, and you can see in the pictures also. So they come in different shapes and designs. So how to use a menstrual cup? First of all, a menstrual cup is made of medically grade silicone, so it's completely healthy for you. It is made of the same element which is used for making your baby bottle nipples, or for transplant, breast transplant, or buttock transplant. Moreover, it can be used for 8 to 10 long years, and it is made up of, as I said, 100% medical grade silicone. There are Indian brands like Stone Soup and Nari Yari who make it in India, and it's completely healthy to be inserted inside your body. It's just you have to take few precautions, which I'll be teaching you now. So first thing, how to when you see a cup and you see something so big, you get scared that how do I insert it and how it has to be used. There's a simple way. Just have to make sure that your hands are clean while inserting and the nails are trimmed, because your nails can hurt your vaginal mucosa. So just hold it thin, fold it like a C, like this, and this is your vaginal opening. You just have to slowly insert it in a to and fro motion inside the vagina. Once it enters the vagina, it will open up there itself, like this, and a suction will be created around it. And it will neither go up, because there is surface, which is a dead line, and a cup cannot go inside more, and neither it will slow down, because the vaginal opening closes up. So it will be at place and hold your blood for 8 to 10 long hours. Second thing, how to remove it. So removing it is, many times people feel difficulty. So we recommend sit in the squat position, that is the Bharatnatyam position. When you sit in that position, your anal opening and the vaginal opening in a straight position. So you have maximum space and width to take it out. Now take your index finger, insert it slowly inside at the back of the menstrual cup. First, palpate the menstrual cup, that where is it? Apply little constipational force so that it comes little down and it is easy to figure out that where the cup is. Take your finger, insert it at the back, take your thumb, insert it in the front, and press it at the bottom. Once you press it at the bottom, the suction will be released from the top. And then you can slowly take it out, clean it, throw the menstrual blood into the comb board, wash it from cold water, and reinsert it in the same way. One very important thing, never pull your cup directly from your vagina, because while pulling, maximum force will be applied into your vaginal opening, and it may cause trauma to your vaginal muscles. Moreover, never keep your menstrual cup on any dirty surface, because it is made up of clean silicone, and when you keep it on a dirty surface, it attracts the bacteria and fungus and dirt over there, and then you will be inserting it inside your body. So again, it will cause infection inside your vagina. Third thing, how to clean your cup. You can have a permanent seal box like this, or you may have pouches like this in which you can keep your menstrual cup. And then during your period, on the first day, you can wash it from cold water, insert it, use it for 5 to 7 days during your period, and again post period, you can again keep it into hot water for 5 minutes, take it out, and keep it in a clean container and use it into the next period. So this was how much, if you see the economics, usually a menstrual cup costs you only for 700 to 900 rupees, whereas I told that in your sanitary napkin costs you 120 rupees, and this you can use it for around 8 to 10 years. So if you buy in a lifetime, you have to buy only 3 menstrual cups, which will be costing you around 3,000 rupees, whereas you spend somewhere 45,000 rupees in your lifetime on your sanitary napkin. So this is economically healthy. You can run, dance, trek, do anything, sleep in any position wearing your menstrual cup. It does not cause any kind of trauma, any kind of uterine prolapse, if you are doing it in a proper manner. And yeah, in the very beginning, there's a learning curve where in the first few positions, you will have to sit in a squat position and insert it, but slowly after 2 to 3 periods, you will even be able to stand and then use it. And I'm a menstrual cup user, and it's really, really healthy and economic and greener because you're not adding any waste to the environment by using a menstrual cup. It can be recycled and it can be reused for 10 years. So next we will be moving on. Please change the slide. Yeah, so next we'll be giving you a few overview that how should you take care of your menstrual hygiene during your period. So the first thing that many girls prohibit bathing during their period because they think that the blood flow increases. But it isn't so. It's very important to take hot water or lukewarm water bath at least once a day during your period. So please don't avoid it. Wash your private parts at least every time after defecation and urination during your period, because what happens when you're using the sanitary napkin, as I said, there are absorbents which transfer the bacteria from the uterine, from the anal opening and to the vaginal opening, and it may cause bacterial or fungal infection inside your vagina. So every time you're having urination or defecation during your period, please wash your private parts from water. Please do not use any kind of V-wash or any kind of soap in your vaginal area because it's not healthy for your vagina. It gets absorbed inside it, and in the long race, it may cause uterine, cervix, or vaginal cancer to you. Then change your sanitary napkin every 4 to 6 hours. You are at workplace or you are at home or school. It is very important to keep your vaginal part very clean. So please change your sanitary napkin. Even if it is mild soiled, you change it every 4 to 6 hours. Wash your hands clean every time before and after using your sanitary napkin and changing it. Keep your nails trimmed. Do not apply any kind of nail paint, nail enamel during your period because it contains acetone, which again sheds every time you wash your hands and gets absorbed in your uterus if you are using the bare hands. And then do not use any kind of hard soap in your uterine area. So these are the few points which you should take care during your period. And yeah, few more things. Now period pain, which is a very common thing girls often come across. So period pain basically occurs due to, it's okay, that these are extra points which is not there in the slide. I'm just telling them. So period pain is a very common thing we all have come across. And why does it happen? So it happens because during menstruation, the uterine lining, the endometrial lining is shedding down. And for that shedding down, the uterine muscle apply a very huge force. So due to that force, the uterus, the waist, the thighs, the knees and legs, and even the lower abdomen suffers a certain amount of pain, and that is called the menstrual cramp. And it's many times for many girls who are not so who doesn't have such good immunity or who are little weak, it is unbearable. So what to do? So the very normal thing, first thing you can do is divert your attention. Go out, go for a walk, go play some games, talk to somebody, listen to music, just divert your attention. Don't keep thinking about the pain. The more you think, the more it pains. Second, you can hold your hands around your tummy. If you can see, so you can hold your hands around your tummy and lie on your tummy. When you do that, it reduces menstrual pain. Second, hot water bath. Hot water bath relaxes your muscles and also helps in reducing your menstrual pain. You can use hot water bath, bags, and even heat belts are available in the market, which can help you in reducing the menstrual cramps. You can do yoga, or there are 6 yogas used mostly for menstruation, that are Balasana, the camel pose, the arrow pose. These are a few basic poses in yoga which you can practice, which can help you reducing the pain during periods. And we highly don't recommend people to stay at home and stay lazy on their bed during a period, because that increases the cramp. The more you move, the more the body becomes flexible, and the rest the pain you experience. Then if the pain is totally unbearable, then you can take a paracetamol tablet. And mostly people use meftal-spasm, but it is an anti-spasmodic tablet, and we do not recommend you using it because with time you become dependent on it. So it's better to take a paracetamol tablet rather than taking an anti-spasmodic. Then drink milk because it has high level of calcium and it helps your bones to rebuild. And take a banana because it is rich in potassium and it again helps you during your menstrual cramp. And if the pain is still unbearable, then please do meet a gynecologist. Or if the menstrual flow is too much, then please do meet a gynecologist, because that only happens because nowadays we have increased cases of PCOD or PCOS. So in that cases, people experience severe ovulatory pain or menstrual pain. In that case, you do need a gynecologist. And if your bleeding is too much, then there might be a chance of anemia. Or if the bleeding is too less, there might be a chance of thyroid. So please do meet a gynecologist or a general physician and sort these problems out. One more thing I would like to discuss, which you all experience, is vaginal white discharge. So the vaginal white discharge is nothing but the serous and the mucus fluid coming out from your vagina. It is basically for lubrication, but in many times due to bacterial infection or dirt, or sometimes we just insert our menstrual cup in without cleaning or washing it, there may be chances of infection, which leads to like foul smelling in your vaginal discharge, the white discharge, and sometimes it even comes blood stained. Sometimes it is painful during micturition and when the vaginal discharge is coming. Sometimes it is grayish, greenish in color when there is a fungal infection. There is pain during your intercourse and it's not comfortable, and there is a cheesy consistency. So basically the white discharge should be thin and opaque, and sometimes a curdy consistency but no smell. But if you can experience some smell, and if it like sticky in touch, then there is a candida or a bacterial infection occurring inside which you are unaware of. In that case, please do meet a gynecologist and start up with your antibiotic therapy, and which will help you overcome it. So these were a few topics I wanted to discuss with all of you. Now it's open for question and answer. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. So let's switch to the question and answer session. You can ask me anything, any doubt, and yeah, few more things that there are few websites like ThiaCare, then Green the Red website, which helps, EcoChem website, which helps people to switch towards sustainable menstruation, because you must be having, just from a session, you will not understand that what I spoke, because it's like quite fast and it is a webinar, so many points would not be clear. So you can go to all these websites and check that what I'm actually speaking about, how is it helpful to you, how is it helpful to your environment, and then switch towards sustainable menstruation and make your periods a happy period. So open for Q&A, you can ask anything, please.
Okay, so if anyone has questions, please do post it on the chat box. Okay, so we'll start with the questions. Is it good to do physical exercise or workout during periods?
Yes, it is extremely good to do physical exercises and workouts during your period, because see, when you sit for a longer hours, it leads to obesity and it leads to menstrual cramps. But when your body is active, the cramps reduces, because see, there are multiple channels in your body which helps in traveling of the potassium, calcium, sodium. But when you're active, all these channels are open and there is no muscle cramp or strain or stress happening when you're active. But when you sit in the same position or lie in the same position for some time, you get these cramps. You must have experience like keeping your head on your hand and sleeping. When you get up in the morning, you get numbness in your hand. Same happens with your uterus. So you should completely be active during your period and not sit at one place. You can go do cycling, go do yoga, meditate. But yeah, please do not pull any heavy weight or do any heavy exercise, because if you pull something heavy like a dumbbell or something which people go to gym, that time it will increase the bleeding because the uterus is little weak.
Okay. Most females become iron deficient after she starts menstruating. Is it necessary to take extra iron supplements or pills?
Yeah, see, you can do one thing. In case that a female, see, when you're becoming iron deficient, you can see symptoms like numbness in your hand, numbness in your feet, swelling, and even yellowish skull. It means your hands will start turning yellowish. So in that case, first go to a general physician or a gynecologist. Get your iron level checked. If it is less, then you can surely take ferrous sulfate tablets, iron tablets, or iron syrup on the recommendation of a gynecologist or a general physician. And along with that, add few things to your diet like pomegranate, spinach, carrots, which helps apple, which helps to build up iron in your body, along with beetroot, means the red fruit which has vitamin A and iron. You can start taking that as supplements along with the iron tablet, but only after the recommendation of a doctor and not of your own.
Okay. PCOD is becoming more common among women. How to deal with this?
Okay, PCOD doesn't come in a day or two, and it mostly, sometimes it is genetic, but mostly it's because of lifestyle. People don't agree to the point that it is because of the lifestyle, because they think that what will happen. But yeah, it is a basic reason. When we don't move a lot, it turns obese, and you start a cyst development, and the cyst becomes into a disorder. So all you can do is, see, it is not treatable. You go to any gynecologist or any doctor, they will recommend you some steroids, they will recommend you some contraceptive pills so that you don't ovulate for 2 months. But after that, again, it will come. So to avoid it, and yeah, when you take these medicines, you start gaining more and more of weight. So instead of doing that, you can change your lifestyle, start doing exercise. You can adopt some childhood exercise only, like skipping or cycling. Start going for walk, lose some weight, check your BMR continuously for 2 to 3 months. You can maintain a proper BMR rate, that is the mechanical rate of your body. And then you can eat healthy, avoid junk food completely, like oily food, chips, snacks, like that. Eat more vegetables and fruits instead of that, like spinach, beetroot, and pomegranate, apples, banana, which helps you, and change your lifestyle. Don't sit at one place and keep working over your laptop. You change your position, change your environment. So see, all these sounds like a very cinematic thing, but it is not so. PCOD is not treatable, but yeah, this is one of the best cure. And if you go to yoga and practice period yoga, and there's even yoga for PCOD and PCOS, then it will be the best thing to control the PCOD pain and PCOS pain.
Okay. In the last 6 months, my periods have reduced from 5 days to 3 days with considerably less flow. Should I be worried?
What is your age? Can I please know? And since how many?
From 15 to 20.
Sorry?
15 to 20.
Okay, so see what happens, no? When we attain our period for the first time, for the first 1 to 1.5 years, the period will come for 1 month, skip for 2 months. Again come for 3 to 4 months, again skip. Sometimes it will extend to 5 days, sometimes it will extend to 7 days. So as you're, from how many years are you getting period?
Okay, so we didn't get this information on the registration link. So if anybody, if the person who asked this question is there on chat right now, please do.
Okay, in general, I will say, fine, in general, I will answer. So what happens for the girl, probably they must be in the age of 20 only. So if the girl in the age of 18 to 20, they have already, what happens that with growth, the number of period days reduces. What matters, see, when you start bleeding, initially it is for 7 days. It reduces to 5, then it becomes constant at 3 days. Again, when the women starts becoming older, it extends to 5 days and it reduces to 1.5, and then you attain menopause. So this is the time when you get from 5 days to 3 days, and if you are toiling around 12 to 15 pads, then it is completely normal and there's nothing to worry. If you are getting menstrual cramp, if you're getting little ovulatory pain, it is completely normal. There's nothing to worry if your period days has decreased from 5 to 3. It's just that you should bleed properly for 3 days, that is around 12 pads a day. Means 12 pads a week, means in 3 days, and at least 4 to 5 pads a day. So that is completely normal. There's nothing to worry about reducing in the number of days. It's about the amount of blood you bleed. So I can show you this menstrual cup. It can hold 23 milliliter of blood. So you should bleed a minimum of this much blood, like 4 tablespoons. If that is coming, then it's totally normal. Nothing to worry about.
Okay. So is it advisable to take pain reliever pills while experiencing severe cramps during periods?
Yeah. So see, misusing the pills is extremely wrong. Few people take 2 tablets or 3 tablets. That is extremely wrong. But yeah, if the pain is unbearable, you can take one Neptal-Stars or paracetamol with a banana in your food, and not go for a sleep, take a hot water bag with you so that it relieves the pain, but don't repeat the habit. Try doing, see, if this month you're getting your periods and there is extreme pain, then as I have told you, few remedies, like you can drink cedar oil, or you can eat food in olive oil, or you can eat apples, you can do exercises, you can do some yoga, and you can divert your attention. You can even drink jeera and methi seeds with cold water or warm water as per your life. So all this will, if you are getting severe pain in one period and then you experience, practice all this for the next 1 month, the next time the period pain will come, absolutely reduce a little. So you can reduce your taking of tablets in that way. You can take it, but don't misuse it. Try switching to a better habit so that the pain ultimately reduces with period of time. But yeah, it's not like you can completely take a tablet. It is not something wrong. You can take it. It's nothing to worry. But don't take 2 or 3. Take 1 tablet and take some good sleep. Pain will subside also.
Okay, so this is with reference to the cloth pad.
Okay.
As we have been instructed to use no soap or only a mild soap, will it be hygienic for us to use or reuse this?
Yes. So what happens that I'll show you. This is the cloth pad. Okay. So once you have used it, as blood is acidic in nature, it will get yellow stain little bit. But when you squeeze it nicely, wash it and dry it in sun, the entire blood will completely come out. So it is completely healthy to use it in the next period, and for 2 to 3 long years, there is nothing wrong. You can do one thing. You can use any mild soap, okay, and scrub it off, completely scrub it off, and it's nothing. And if you are seeing that the stains have come a lot, the cloth has completely turned yellow after 1.5 years, then you can get another cloth, as I showed. You can make from any of your old dupattas, cotton dupattas, or any old sari and plain sari or dupatta, and stitch it like this and reuse it for your next period. Instead, nothing to worry about that. If you're not washing some hard soap, it will go off. We don't recommend using hard soap, and it's not healthy also. So wash it from mild soap. But yeah, drying in sun is very important. If you're not drying in sun, then you can't use a cloth pad. It's very important to dry it in sun. So because sun is a natural sterilizer and it will kill all the bacteria more than your soap. So it's better you dry it in sun. And if you want to be double sure, you can put it once in the Dettol water and take it out. But make sure that the entire Dettol water and the entire soap water is squeezed off. And then you can dry it in sun and use it. Okay.
So mood swings during periods, how to handle it, particularly in teenagers?
Okay, mood swings is a very common problem which comes to everybody. So see, mood swings, when they come, you start behaving yourself little weird and different. And personal experience, this is my personal experience. I know I'm being little rude. I know I'm overeating, or I know I'm craving. You understand that. So in that time, start distancing from people, or start distancing from the thing which is troubling you. Like supposingly me, if somebody says something which I don't like, during my mood swings, means a week before my period, I react to that. So in that time, what I do that I will make some distance from such people or such kind of conversation, such kind of thing which disturbs my mood. So first thing, that there itself it will control. Second, if you are having cravings, teenagers usually have cravings for food. So yeah, don't eat junk, but I recommend you eat like dark chocolate or really healthy food. You start cooking for yourself, distract your mind, talk to your loved ones, talk to your mom or talk to your sister or brother for a longer hour, spend time at home, avoid going out or getting into unnecessary conversations, and do as you like. See, mood swing is not something not like a disease or a disorder. Just a disturbance happening to you because of your body is undergoing physical changes. So in that time, you can play also some games which you like, or you can go for long walks. You can do what you feel like and distance from people who are disturbing you or the conversations which are disturbing you. So distraction helps you the most, and good food, basically, we recommend people to take it so that they feel a little better about them. And yeah, read articles about good menstruation, how should you live, or you do some shopping for yourself, or start stitching your own menstrual products so you feel good, or you start teaching somebody that time that I am facing this, what is happening with you. Like if you want to talk to me only, you can come and talk, this is happening to me, what has happened with you, share your experience, take their experience. So all these things eventually with time will start controlling your mood swings and especially your lifestyle. Don't get into anything unnecessary which disturbs you. Take distance from everything.
Is it safe to use menstrual hygiene products?
No, it's extremely wrong to use menstrual hygiene products. Yes, they are sold into the market on a very high rate. But what does, see, your uterus is a totally unsterile organ. It has many bacteria and fungus, which is very important for maintenance of the pH, for the your personal hormonal growth, for the growth of your child. Okay, what happens, and for a healthy period, it's very important, the bacteria inside your uterus. What happens when you use a menstrual product? It goes inside your uterus and kills all these healthy bacteria and fungus. And that time you start our uterus pH is only 3.8, and this reduces. It makes the uterus dry, and you start getting itching. You start getting fungal infection. So you should never ever use these menstrual hygiene products. Rather than use lukewarm water or cold water to clean your private parts during your periods, or even if you're getting a UTI, rather than using these products. It's completely harmful, and there is a survey which says that the talcum powder girls use or the V-wash the girls use, they get absorbed inside the uterus, and it causes cervical and uterine cancer. Similarly, for your pads also, they have fragrances which get absorbed inside your uterus and causes cervical and vaginal cancer. So please do not use it. Instead, wash your pipes. Wear clean undergarments. Change them more quickly, and wash your private parts more often than using any product like this.
Okay, so being a responsible person, how do I make the concept of sustainable menstruation reach the illiterate and the poor?
Okay, so what can you do? See, there are multiple Anganwadi workers who are working in this sector, and the ASHA workers. So at present, it is a time of Corona pandemic. You can't switch to the rural part. But yeah, there are multiple places like NGOs like Reforest India. There are multiple Rotaract clubs who are going to rural area to educate about, to give ration. So you can pitch in with them. You can go teach them about this. You can make pamphlets, the Rotary, Rotaract, and even I said, EcoCare, EcoFem, and Stone Soup. They have their website which has multiple pamphlets and newsletters in multiple languages: Hindi, English, Marathi, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, in all the languages. And you can go there, distribute those pamphlets to them, talk to them in their regional language, and explain that what are they doing is healthy or not. First, reach their level. See, when you go and tell them or donate something at one upfront, that time they are not able to accept it, because they think that you are giving them clothes pad or you are giving them menstrual cup because it is cheap for them. They are of lower standards, and that's why you are giving them. But it is not so. So you have to first make them understand what is good for them, what is bad for them, probably play a skit for them, or probably talk to them, to take a survey about them, that what do they feel, what have they been using, what is their personal experience, reach to their level, their mental status, that what are they thinking about sanitary products, do they even have access to a sanitary product, and if they have, then how do they decompose it, or how do they change it. So when you take all this survey, and then you can help them teaching, then they gain a little trust on you, that okay, this person actually wants to help us. And then as a team or as a single individual also, you can go and teach them and give them something, and then again go and check like a feedback, that have they used it, if they have used it, why they have used it, what they experience, what are the changes, are they feeling healthy. If they have not used it, then why they didn't use it. Make a video of it and then circulate that kind of video everywhere, so that more people listen to you and see that yes, you are working. And when you go to some other village, you can show that, see, I have done this work, we are doing it, we want to help you. So that way you can build little trust in people and then work on a rural scale. So basically the language barrier is also a big thing. You have to first break the language barrier with them and reach to their level that what they think. If you go and suddenly tell them about all this in English, they will not understand. You have to first reach to their level and then walk over it. Okay.
When it comes to hygiene, which one of the menstrual cups and sanitary napkins do you suggest me to use?
Okay, I don't suggest you to use any kind of sanitary napkin. Sanitary napkin is completely unhealthy. Okay. Yes, menstrual cup. There are two Indian brands. First is Nari Yari and second is Stone Soup. Okay. As you are the first time user of a cup, I will recommend you to use the soft cup. That is, I'm showing the green color cup of Stone Soup and the pink color cup of Nari Yari, which is small now. Both of them are available on Flipkart. You can order your cup from there. As it is an Indian brand, you can go see their offices also. It is in People's, it's in Peenya and Dodbalapur, and they are completely healthy and to be used as a first-time user for the menstrual cup. For the cloth pad, I will suggest you either to go through the Stone Soup cloth pad. Again, it is available on Flipkart and Amazon, and it is in different sizes. So this one is the largest size for using at night when you bleed too much. There's another sizes like the small one, which you can use at daytime. There's a very small one that's called a panty liner, which you use during a white discharge. And then you have the Aram cloth pads, these ones with jackets and liners, which are completely cotton, which you can use anytime, day and night. So you can find all these at Flipkart, Stone Soup, and Nari Yari, and then order your things. And you can reach me any day, anytime. I'll help you with your cup, or if you're facing any problem with buying or which one to buy and how to buy. You can take my number from here if you really need it.
One of my friends starts bleeding even when her periods are over. What is the reason behind this?
Since how long it has been happening?
Can I please have that person who spoke? Yeah. 1 day.
1 day. Like, and how old she is?
19.
Okay, so what happens, no? Sometimes we feel that the period is over in 3 days or 5 days or 7 days, but it's still not over. So what happens that blood comes for 10 days and even may extend to 15 days. How many times it has happened? Can you please tell me? One time, or it has been happening for a continuous long time of period of time?
One time.
Okay. So what would have happened that her period would have got over, but there must be some remnant which comes out, as I mentioned, that with the vaginal white discharge, what happens that sometimes that the remnants of the blood comes out. So that would have been 1 or 2 drops of the remnant which has come out. But if she has experienced heavy bleeding, then probably she has injured, means she would have got hit by her, like, if she's sexually active, she might have got hit by her finger or something during her sexual action, or might be she has got hurt in that part by any action, so she's bleeding heavy. But if it is only 1 or 2 drops or a mild like 1 pad, then it is okay. It is the remnant which is coming out just after the period also. So it's nothing to worry about. But if it is a heavy bleeding, it's immediate. You need to meet a gynecologist. Immediate, actually, if it is a heavy bleeding. But if it is just drops, then it is normal, not an issue.
Okay, so we have come to the end of the question answer session. I would like to request Prerna to propose a vote of thanks. Okay, wait, ma'am, one more question.
Yeah,
What is your opinion? What is your opinion on sanitary incinerators installed in most of the organizations? Is it the right way to discard napkins?
See, as I mentioned before, the sanitary incinerators which are used in our country, they work at 300 to 400 degrees Celsius, where it releases gas called dioxin, which is harmful. So it is not at all recommendable to use those incinerators. Rather, I would say if it is not working properly, find it out if it works at 1200 degrees Celsius or not. If it doesn't, then please don't use those incinerators. Better fold your sanitary napkin, wrap it in a newspaper, put a red dot and put it in a black cover. Give it separately to the Paurakarmikas or the municipality workers, rather than using those incinerators which are burning the pad at the wrong temperature, because we have come across an incident where they were burning these pads at only 300 degrees Celsius, and the entire classroom filled with boys and girls kids got respiratory infection just because it was burning at 300 degrees Celsius and releasing ashes and dioxin and chlorine kind of chemicals into the air. So please, it's better if it is not working, figure out what temperature it is working. If it is not correct, then it's better not to use that way, and you just wrap it into paper and let it go to the landfill. In cold water during periods because summer you can't. Okay, so I agree, in summers we can't avoid cold water, but it's better. You can drink cold water, but don't drink fizzy water or don't drink extremely cold water. Mix it with little normal water and then you drink it. That would be better. But yeah, we don't recommend drinking cold water during periods. It's better you drink normal water or lukewarm water. Not lukewarm water, also normal water. Avoid using cold water. And extremely cold is totally not recommended, even though it is summer.
Is it normal to miss a period?
Yeah, if you see, it has now two perspectives. If you are missing a period just for a month and you are not sexually active, then it is completely fine to miss a period, because there might be a chances of developing PCOD where girls miss their period, or there might be a chance of thyroid, or there might be chance of anemia. In that case, if you are not sexually active and you have missed the period for more than 1 or 2 times, then go meet the doctor. You might have these 3 disorders and get a treatment for these 3. Okay? And from the next month, you will start getting your periods normally. But if you are sexually active, then missing a period might be a pregnancy chance. In that case, you have to go to a doctor and get your test checked that you are pregnant or you're not. If you're pregnant, then you have to take further measures in accordance to your husband or your family. And if you're not, then there must be chances of any of these 3, or there must be too much of stress. Might be sometimes because of stress also we miss our periods, or because of irregular habits we miss our period for 10 to 15 days, and then the 16th or 17th day you get a period. So there might a fluctuation happen for till 45 days, but if it extends beyond that, please meet a doctor if you are sexually active. If you're not sexually active, then you might be having the other 3 chances which I earlier mentioned. You can get checked for that. But it's only if it is continuous, not like 1 month you miss it and then just suddenly go to the doctor. If you are missing continuously for 1 or 2 or 3 times, then meet a doctor.
For 2 months, I had bleeding every 15 days. Is this normal?
No, it's extremely not normal. There might be a chances of some disorder, cyst or something else happening. So in that case, if you are bleeding for more than 15 days, then you should meet a doctor, because there is something wrong. Because you should bleed only for 3 to 5 days, maximum of 7 days. 15 days is a little more for 2 continuous months.
For 2 months, I had bleeding every 15 days.
That's good. Every 15 days, if she has been bleeding, that's not normal. She has to meet a doctor.
Okay.
There must be some, she might be a cystic patient also. Like, she might have cysts in her ovary because of that which is happening. But it's not normal. Like, I haven't heard this kind of case before, that when you bleed 15 days, every 15 days. So please, sorry, I can't answer you over this. I would rather suggest you to please meet a gynecologist as soon as possible.
Missing periods can lead to hormonal imbalance. Is this true?
Yes, missing periods completely leads to, actually hormonal imbalance leads to missing of periods, and these hormonal imbalance occur due to your daily activity and stress and food habits, and even due to hormonal disorders. So yeah, missing periods can lead, like in hormonal imbalance can lead to missing periods. And that is okay. It's not a disorder or disease. Once or twice you may miss because of hormonal.
Okay, so I would like to call Prerna to
mention now it is normal. Okay, but if it happens again, I recommend you please meet a doctor, because I've never come across this thing, so I can't recommend you on that. So I request you to please see a doctor if it happens again.
Okay, so I would request Prerna to propose a vote of thanks. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Prerna Prasanna, and on behalf of the Rotaract Club of BMS Yelahanka and myself, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Asta Singh for sparing her time to be with us this evening. You have shared your knowledge about menstrual health, which was very informative, and I'm sure it has helped all of us present here. So thank you for that, ma'am. I also wish to express my gratitude to Tejaswini ma'am, RCBMSY Faculty Coordinator, for inviting the esteemed speaker, and to the event chair Lavanya and her team for putting the session together. I take this opportunity to thank this year's Board of Directors for their tireless efforts to legitimate this club and for the success in conducting all their events despite the pandemic situation. Special mention to President Rotractor Gautam Krishna and Secretary Rotractor Prerna Kulkarni for the leadership and guidance in making this club great. Thank you again. Finally, I would also take this opportunity to thank everyone who took their time to join us for the session. This is the team of RCBMSY signing off with our last event of the Rota year 2019-2020. Years passed by, but our will to serve the society never does. Here's to the beginning of another year and commendable work to give back to the society. And also remember, we're in this together, so let's make our country better. After all, change begins with us. Thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. A feedback form has been shared in the chat box. Do fill it and help us get better as a club. Thank you.